Could Manchester United be hijacking Newcastle's deal for Tosin on a three? The 26-year-old Fulham centre-back is apparently a Manchester United fan and open to the move. What's the latest on the manager situation? Because Di Marzio, who was known to be a credible source, said that Ten Hag will say goodbye at the FA Cup final, and that is certain. But Fabrizio Romano has also given an update on Ten Hag's future. We're going to get into that. Reports were emerging that certain players had a meeting with INEOS to discuss concerns over Ten Hag and potentially want Ten Hag sacked, but the majority of the squad back Ten Hag. But who are the potential names believing that Ten Hag should be sacked? And then, of course, more news coming in on Pochettino. David Ornstein giving an update on Pochettino. More injury news ahead of the FA Cup final. A few key players could be back for the FA Cup final. And then more Ashworth drama. Apparently, Dougie Freedman is rejecting Newcastle because he doesn't like how they've dealt with the Ashworth situation. So guys, please do hit that like button and of course subscribe down below if you're new. Give me 10 minutes of your time. I'm going to get through all the latest Manchester United news coming in this morning. So I'm first of all going to talk about Chris Wheeler's story because it relates to the story that came out 2 days ago. Now, 2 days ago, Chris Wheeler said that Manchester United are expected to sign 2 centre-backs this summer. Todibo and Tosin are the 2 potential right-sided targets. Now, this has come from Nazar Kinsella and Simon Stone. Nazar Kinsella was the first journalist to say that Elise would be a player Manchester United go for this summer. He said that back in January. That was then confirmed. Simon Stone is obviously a very, very credible journalist. He doesn't say a lot about Manchester United, but when he does, you can trust it. You know, he doesn't say lots, but when he does, just trust it. And they are now saying that Manchester United are vying with Newcastle to sign Fulham defender Tosin Adebayo. Newcastle United were thought to be close to finalising a deal, but United haven't ended their interest in him. So there's a suggestion there that Manchester United might be considering making a last-minute move for Tosin Adebayo. Now, that would say to me that Manchester United will maybe go Branthwaite left centre-back, Tosin right centre-back. I think that this is a smart deal. I think this is a good deal. I ultimately think he's going to end up at Newcastle because it seems it's very close and we're not getting anyone else confirming that United are going to go hijack this deal. But I'd like Tosin at Manchester United because we need 2 centre-back signings, and if you can get him on a free, that can allow us funds there to invest in a bigger centre-back signing and then have money left over for midfield, wing, striker. Manchester United in a position where they need a left-back, they need a centre-back, they need another centre-back, they need a DM, they need another midfielder, they need a right wing, and they need a striker. We need 7 signings. So if you get 1 centre-back on a free, that at least gives you a bit of depth there. You know, you've got to think Johnny Evans is leaving, Varane is leaving, one of Lindelof and Maguire is leaving. You do need 2 centre-backs. You can get Tosin on a free that can replace sort of the Lindelof-Evans aspect on the bench, and then we sign someone that's going to be that long-term partner for Lissandro Martinez going forward. That's what I'd like to see. Let me know your thoughts down below. We will talk about Branthwaite, Todibo, Lenny Euro, and other Manchester United centre-back targets in tonight's live show. Now, I'm going to get through this quickly because I actually just want to go into what Romano said, but this was obviously context on what was said last night by Di Marzio on Eric Ten Hag's future. McKenna's one that's been looked at. He was saying at the end of the season, United will say goodbye to Ten Hag. He said, McKenna, Poch and De Zerbi are on the list of targets, all of that as well. And Di Marzio did say what is certain is the Man United players are saying goodbye to Ten Hag. Manchester United are saying goodbye to Ten Hag. Di Marzio, who was a tier 1 source, now not as good as he used to be, but he was the Fabrizio Romano before Fabrizio Romano. He's still a semi-credible source, is saying, yeah, for sure, Ten Hag, it's certain that Ten Hag will say goodbye to United. So there's a lot of confidence in that. So that definitely is one to watch. But Fabrizio Romano, who is the don of transfer, said this. He said the Eric Ten Hag situation is really open and it's not just about winning the cup on Saturday. Anything can happen. Eric Ten Hag and the possibility of him to leave Manchester United. He said Ten Hag's future is still not something that's decided yet and that Ten Hag staying at United is a 50-50 situation. And as I said, I've always believed that Ten Hag staying at United is a 50-50, 60-40 situation. I don't believe the rumours and speculation that they've already decided to sack him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's sacked, but if he stays, I wouldn't also be crazy surprised. I think a lot of people, with the way the media reported, believe Ten Hag will be sacked. And if he stays, I think a lot of people will be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if INEOS did stick with Ten Hag. I really wouldn't. The Tuchel's available, Poch is available, McKenna's available, but also, INEOS know the biggest problem at United is the environment, and they know that they need to change the club before they change the manager and the team. And they know that Jason Wilcox has done an assessment of Ten Hag, and he's reported to INEOS that this injuries and the things that Ten Hag has had to deal with is unfair. Jason Wilcox in his assessment of Ten Hag on what he's had to deal with this season and the injuries, he feels sorry for Ten Hag. So there could be reasons for Ten Hag to stay. And I think I like that Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein are saying, look, nothing's been decided, it's a 50-50. Whereas the rest of the media keep saying, we're looking at this manager, we're looking at that manager. He's sacked, he's gone. I like that Ornstein and Romano aren't saying much because they know that they can just be honest. I think the other sources are saying Ten Hag will go because they know it'll get clicks because they haven't got the credibility and following of Ornstein and Romano. Which brings me on to this story by the United Stand. And they said, despite Erik ten Hag's general support in the dressing room with significant support from younger players, some players have come forward to raise their concerns to INEOS, which may ultimately have a huge impact on Ten Hag's future. So the United Stand are claiming that certain players at Manchester United have raised concerns about Ten Hag, which could have an impact on his future. They've not named those certain players, but they said it's not some of the younger ones. I'm not here to guess and speculate who those players are. I don't honestly have a clue, but they are saying that there's certain players in the Manchester United squad which have basically come forward to raise concerns to INEOS about Ten Hag. If that is the case, those players personally should go as well. I think if Ten Hag is sacked, you can't say I'm going to sack him because these players have concerns. That will allow player power. I think any player that's complaining or making a big deal should go with the manager if the manager goes, for sure. But again, I don't know how true this is, but this isn't the first report that said similar things of certain players going to INEOS and expressing concerns on Ten Hag, was other certain players are showing support. One big problem we have at Manchester United's player power, and I think INEOS' decision shouldn't be impacted by what certain players think. INEOS' decision should be based off what they think is the best decision for United moving forward, and those certain players complaining may also be moved on from Manchester United. Which brings us into the next story, the Poch to Manchester United rumours and links. It was said that Mauricio Pochettino is now on Manchester United and Bayern Munich's radar after leaving Chelsea. And interestingly, David Ornstein has added to this story, saying Manchester United have been linked with Mauricio Pochettino for some time. He met with INEOS about the niche job too, and there's a relationship there. I'm not suggesting it will happen. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Erik, but it's one to watch. Ornstein said, I'm not saying anything's going to happen. It depends what happens with Erik ten Hag. But he said, I fully believe Mauricio Pochettino will be one to watch. And I agree. I think Poch, Tuchel and McKenna will be the three main ones to watch, followed by De Zerbi if Ten Hag is sacked. It was also said by TalkSport that Mauricio Pochettino would be keen on a move to Manchester United. United have yet decided whether to part company with Ten Hag. No decisions have been made on Ten Hag, despite Di Marzio saying that Ten Hag will say goodbye and that is done. No official decision has been made on Ten Hag, but Pochettino is one to watch, and David Ornstein himself has even confirmed that. I like Pochettino. I don't think he's a bad option. I think he's better than a lot of the managers' names on the list. But we almost got Pochettino 2 years ago and we picked Erik ten Hag over him. It feels like we're going for the sloppy second in that sense, if you get what I'm saying. Let me know your thoughts down below on Poch. Let me know if you keep Ten Hag down below. Really intrigued to know your thoughts. Going into the other manager info going about, it was said by BBC Sport that Kieran McKenna is likely to reject a new deal at Ipswich. He's currently in talks with Ipswich over the new deal, feeling that the time is right for him to make the next step. Chelsea are in pole position, but he's also under consideration for Manchester United should they part ways with Ten Hag. If I'm McKenna, I would not go Chelsea. I would go to Brighton. Second choice after Brighton would be Manchester United, and third choice would be Chelsea. At least with Manchester United and INEOS, they can prove that they're trying to have some kind of support system in place for managers. I think Chelsea would be the wrong move for him. I think McKenna should go to Brighton, to be honest. I think he shouldn't go to Manchester United. He shouldn't go to Chelsea. I think we're not ready for him yet. We need to change the club environment and he needs more Prem experience before he comes to United, but I do like McKenna. Which brings me into the final stories. Mount, Martial and Lindelof are back in training ahead of the cup final. Could we see a Martial send-off? This also could be Lindelof's last game for United, and Mount is back, but who knows, he'll probably get injured again. The good thing about the FA Cup final is a lot of key players are coming back in time. The bad thing is, they've not had any games before that to practice, warm up. The question is, how match fit are they? That's the one question as well. I go into this final story as well from Sam C Reports, because I spoke about this in my live stream yesterday. I said, Manchester United and Newcastle have both handled this Ashworth situation appallingly bad. You can't just blame Newcastle, you can't just blame United. But I said one thing that Newcastle might want to do is lower their demands for him, because it might put other people off joining, and that seems to be the case. It was said by Sam C Reports, who was the first guy to break that Rashford wasn't going to be in the England squad. Then Ornstein said the same 20 minutes later, and he's been quite credible with his reports lately. He said one of the reasons Newcastle are finally finding it difficult to get a replacement in for Dan Ashworth, and why Dougie Freedman has rejected Newcastle's lucrative offer is because how they've treated Ashworth's dismissal and how they've used traditional media to asperse him. So Newcastle have used traditional media to basically bring down Ashworth. They've dealt with his dismissal very badly. Ashworth is claiming he was sacked and it wasn't dealt with right, and reportedly that is one of the reasons that Dougie Freedman rejected Newcastle, because if he wanted to go somewhere else, he doesn't like how they dealt with it, which is fair enough. Anyway, people, that is all the latest Manchester United news rounded up in less than 10 minutes for you guys. Please do let me know your thoughts. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I'll be back tonight with a live stream. See you then. Bye.